Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Ooh, a little thunder or something. Anyway, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage, and welcome back to the Caitlin saga. So today is actually a pretty warm day here in Pennsylvania. When we were putting the emissions back on the truck, which a lot of you I know did not like, it was 24 degrees. Today it's like 45 degrees. Well, that's Pennsylvania for you. So anyway, this morning it was all driving rain and all that at work, and I was thinking, we're not going to be able to get this job done. Well, it has since cleared up. It's still warm out, so we're going to get this job done, and that job is installing our 68 RFE in the Caitlin. So before we get into that, this job was actually going to take place last night. I was getting everything prepped, put a block off plate on the Man, I lost my train of thought real quick there. So anyhow, like I was saying, we were going to start putting this thing in last night. I took our fleece coolant bypass off the block, and I got a block off plate. We installed that because when you put the fleece coolant bypass in, you actually have to knock out a freeze plug. So, and rather than trying to get a freeze plug in there while the engine's in, we just got a block off plate that guys use in higher horsepower, higher RPM applications. We got one of those to put in there, and that problem is solved. So anyway, I got a text message from Robert. I completely forgot that he'd gotten me tickets to go see the Man in Black, a Johnny Cash tribute here locally, and it was phenomenal. Guy looked and sounded a lot like Johnny Cash. He was 2 hours of playing stuff from Sun Recordings to Columbia to American. It was a phenomenal show. It was great. Highly recommend it, especially if you're a Johnny Cash fan, which you all should be, because that man was awesome. I just wish he was still with us so I could go see him in person. So anyway, enough of that, on to our 68. So here is our new to us 68 RFE and torque converter. So this comes from the guys at Street Tractor Performance in Michigan. They were one of many people who had reached out to me and said, hey, we can help you out if you're trying to put a stock trans back in a truck. I went with them, and one of the reasons why was they were able to ship this trans and torque converter to me for such a reasonable rate. It was incredible. Like, I haven't been able to ship a torque converter down to Georgia for like half of this. I mean, it was just so. It was a good price on shipping. That's what it came down to. So anyway, what these guys do, and the guy who got in contact with me is Hemi Challenger 04, I believe it is, on Instagram. He said that what they do is they part out trucks. They have, if you need a 12 valve, a 6.7, something like that, hit him up. He might be able to help you out. Like I said, no matter where you are in the country, they might be able to get it to you for a pretty reasonable price. So I appreciate that from them guys. Go check them out. If you have anything you need, be sure to hit him up. So anyhow, on to our torque converter and transmission. This transmission is actually out of an 08 truck. So the question comes, does it work in a 2012? The answer is yes. So I was thinking we were going to have to change out the electronic portion of this, but we're not. So there is a white connector and there's a gray connector on these transmissions. The white connector is earlier trucks and the gray connector is later trucks. So when the trans arrived, I was fully prepared to swap this out. Well, it's the same color as the one that was in the truck already, so I looked it up online. The white connectors from earlier trucks, those can go in any of the 68 RFE applications. Obviously, the 08 trans is not going to have the 2018 updates and whatnot, but it will work electronically. Now, if you take a later trans, one with a gray connector, put it in an early trans truck, it's missing a solenoid they had in it, and you will immediately throw a code. So we can use this trans. I didn't swap that out, and if I happen to be wrong, we'll just have to drop the valve body and take care of that. Speaking of the valve body and all that, last night also, I pulled the pan, swapped the filters out, put brand new filters on the transmission, resealed the pan, put all our bracketry, which well, it was only the throttle linkage, or not throttle linkage, the shift linkage. Swap that over to this trans, and we are good to go. So our first step is going to be using these two cans here. We got to clean our cooler, try and get all our metal and nastiness out of there. Then we can put our torque converter on, which I've already put a couple quarts of fluid in, and we can put this transmission in. So that's our plan. We're going to put our 68 RFE in Caitlin and make this thing drivable again. Yeah, going back to stock. So I know you guys don't really like it. I know a lot of you kind of figure out what's going on, but all right, let's get to it. Sorry for all the talking. So the 68 is in, it's all bolted up. I did it a little differently this time. We'll talk about what's going on back here in a second, but I put just the trans on the trans jack, which made it a lot easier to line up, get everything going. Was checking our torque converter the whole way. As always, when bolting a transmission up, don't run it in with a gun, because there's dowels. You got to get everything lined up, get it parallel, and just get it in there nice, you know, bring it up, and everything slid in perfectly just doing it like that. So I figured I'd put our transfer case on our trans jack, bring it up, and it was just wobbly because it has like a ridge. It just wasn't working out right, so I just kind of hossed it up there, like we took it off, and it was a pain to get the splines lined up and all that, but finally I did. And it was kind of weird to me because the input shaft to our transfer case is actually shorter than normal, so our stud should actually start before the shaft. Well, needless to say, I finally got it lined up, got it in there, and man, I can't get any bolts started. I can't get it flush with the back of the transmission. And I screwed around with it. Also, I had the transmission mount already on the transmission, but then you can't get to the bottom two transfer case bolts. But needless to say, that wasn't a big issue. Anyway, Yeah, so why is the back of the transmission off? So when I pulled the transfer case back down after trying to get it on, I discovered what the problem was. So here we have the extension housing, or I don't even know what you call it, the rear housing for the 68 off of the transmission we have, and here we have the one off the truck's transmission. So I pulled it, everything at a glance looks the same. Well, when I pulled it off and I compared them, yeah, that's why I couldn't get the transfer case on. So if you see right here where the seal is, there's like this ridge area. It's, pretty close, say within a 1/4 inch of the flange. If we look at the one off of our transmission, the one that came out of the truck, we got like 3/4 of an inch. It is recessed quite a bit more. On the back side, they look exactly the same, other than this one is full of metal shavings. But yeah, so that was our problem. Now, yeah, it's not something I ever even thought about. I never knew there was a difference. I've never read anything about it. I mean, I'm sure trans builders know about this, but I certainly didn't. Otherwise, I would have done it here in the garage where it was nice and easy, and we'd probably be about done this job right now. So guys, a little bit of an issue here. Nothing we can't handle. We're gonna have to clean up the back housing off of our transmission, bolt it on there. It's not that big a deal. Like I said, if I had any idea about this, or if I would have tried to bolt the transfer case up and put it in like I did every time with this, I just decided to do it this way. I figured, it'd probably be easier adjusted out there, whatnot, which it would have been, or it was. But yeah, I did not see this transfer case issue coming. So this truck is a 2012. That is the first year of the Borg-Warner transfer case. So the transfer case in Caitlin is a Borg-Warner transfer case. They started that in 2012. Now, from what I understand, that's when they started it. Now, do all 12s have a Borg-Warner transfer case? I don't know. But obviously the rear housing on the 68 RFE is different for it. Also going past 2012, I don't know if all those have them or not either. But 2012 is when they at least started to change over from the old NP or NV style transfer case, even though they pretty much look the same and you think they just bolt up. Apparently they don't. So I'm going to get to cleaning this housing up. When I pulled this one off, some transmission fluid came out from like our torque converter, I guess, and what was residual in the trans. As you can see, there's sealant on there. So I'm gonna have to clean this one up, get all the metal shavings out of it and all that, get new sealer on there. Yeah, so this job, yeah, it's kind of irritating me right now because of this unforeseen issue, but it is what it is. As you can see, it is much later. I struggled with that transfer case for a while because I'm like, this is not something you have a problem with. Well, we did. So we get to clean everything up, get this thing in there. Yeah, yes, that's how that's supposed to go. Oh, what a pain. So guys, our transfer case is finally fully installed. Yeah, once we got that housing situation figured out, cleaned up both surfaces, cleaned out ours, cleaned up the, all the metal shavings inside of it, which took a while to get them all. I mean, just a lot of stuff. Not having a parts washer just, doesn't help. But anyhow, got that all taken care of, got that thing up. I decided to just hoss it up there, which I did. Played with the output shaft a little bit and was able to get it splined up. Slid right on, fully seated. Ran the bolts in, put our transmission mount on, and then put our cross member in. Our cross member is just sitting on our bolts right now, so we have those to tighten up. Rear drive shaft, front drive shaft, all of our electronics. Our torque converter still needs to be bolted up. Also, there's these support braces that come off of the transmission onto the block. They need put on. All of our miscellaneous electrical connections. We need to fill the transfer case, I'm sure, because I'm probably got quarter or two of ATF on me from it, because if you tilt it backwards you get ATF out the tail shaft there, and yeah, that kind of sucks. So anyway, front drive shaft too, but that's going to be it for under the truck tonight. So guys, that's going to be it for in the garage tonight, or outside the garage tonight. The temperature has dropped considerably since the sun went down. I was not dressed for it, just a sweatshirt, pants. I don't have wool socks on or nothing like that. Typically, if it's cold, like when we were working on the EGR and stuff, I'm bundled up. I got the Carhartts. I'm prepared. Tonight, I went out there. It was still sunny. We got home from work early. I said, you know what? Couple hours, we'll have this thing in. No big deal. But then we ran in that issue at the back of the transmission. And, of course, I keep working, and the ground's wet. Like I said earlier, it rained pretty hard this morning. I'm soaking that all up because my cardboard, it soaked through. And anyway, I'm cold. I'm tired. I'm pretty sure this entire arm is just ATF on this sweatshirt at this point, because that tail shaft, it was just dripping out, and I'm holding it. And I did not know about the tail shaft. We went over that already, but we got the transmission in. It's seated, all that. We have our torque converter to do, our drive shaft to do, all of our electrical connections, the support brackets to the block. We got our cooler lines to hook up and all that kind of stuff. So we still have some work to do on it. I certainly did not get the progress I wanted tonight. I really wanted to have everything but the fluid in it, because I don't have fluid. So I wanted to just be ready for that part of it. But with that whole tail shaft thing, like I said, it kind of perplexed me for a little bit, and I spent way more time on it than I should have, because it's one of them, you get something in there. Like at one point I was thinking about maybe I got to pull the trans out to get this transfer case on there, and you're debating whether to do that, and you keep pushing through. So anyway, finally dropped the transfer case down, gave it a good look, and you know what, there's our issue. So if you're putting an older transmission into a newer truck with Borg-Warner transfer case, now you know that you need to swap out that tail housing, or the back portion of the 68 RFE to the other one, and that way it'll go in right. Like I said, once we did that, boop, right in. So anyway, guys, that's it for garage tonight. Like I said, not the progress I would like, but it's progress nonetheless. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm going to get in here, get warm, and get me a cocktail. So have a good night, everybody.